Okay. So if you came into this role of leading us on the next phase of our journey in SAB Miller, what would that journey look like? Well, that's what it would look like. And it's kind of pretty, I think, but rather meaningless at this point. So I'll give you a little bit of an explanation, which hopefully means that when we come back to that at the end, it'll all fall into place and you'll understand what it's about. A little bit about SAB Miller, just to give you some context, I guess, to the journey I'm trying to describe. SAB Miller is in the FTSE top 20. It's the biggest, the second biggest alcoholic beverage company in the world, behind AB InBev, ahead of Diageo, Heineken, and sundry others. It's huge revenues, $28 billion of revenues, 70,000 employees. I think it's about 36 countries in which we own brewing or manufacturing capability, and another 40 or thereabouts in which we have sales and distribution operations or arrangements. So it's a big global company. But importantly, it's also a very local company, and that's very much kind of flavored the journey that we've been on so far, and the journey that we will continue on, I think, from a digital point of view. We have, as Stephen said, something in excess of 200 brands around the world. And in all honesty, even though I've got the fancy job title of Global Director of blah, I couldn't even name the 200 brands that we have. I mean, there are some that I really have very little to do with. But what I do is hopefully try and set a framework within which the people who really earn the money and do the good work, which is the people in the operating companies, that they find helpful in helping them do their job better. But it's a wide range of brands, and Stephen mentioned a few of them. But brands you may not have heard of. We own the biggest beer brand in the world. Does anybody know what it is? Anyone hazard a guess? The biggest selling beer brand in the world? No. Nowhere near. No. No. But in the right country. It's called Snow, and it's in China. And it's the biggest selling beer brand in the world. We have brands like Castle in South Africa, Gambrinus in the Czech Republic, Aguila in Colombia, Tiska in Poland, Blue Tongue in Australia. And if you believe what you read in the press, and I genuinely don't know how it'll play out, we're certainly having a crack at buying Foster's. We may or may not end up getting it. So it's a very diverse company, lots of operations all around the world. And that absolutely reflects into what our journey has been. It also reflects deeply into our culture, because we think of ourselves and think it's a potential source of competitive advantage that actually SAB Miller is the most local of the global brewers. And that's a strategic choice, deliberately wanting to be local. Partly we believe beer is inherently a local business. If you look at the economics, it's quite high bulk, relatively low value. It's also deeply rooted in local communities. Beer culture is a very local and very diverse thing actually around the world. But we also think that by being deliberately local, it provides us with opportunities to learn a hell of a lot, potentially more than centrally driven global organizations, because we actually have people who are out there making decisions in markets all the time. And my boss, who's the CMO, a chap called Nick Fell, has a simple expression which is caught on in the business, which says, if SAB Miller did everywhere what SAB Miller does brilliantly somewhere, we would, and in fact he says, double our top line growth. But I mean, effectively we would be unbeatable. Because actually the truth of the matter is that when you're decentralized, when you put your trust into the local operating companies, actually the chances are that whatever is the problem you're dealing with, somebody else has already solved it. But you have to have a mechanism to be able to capture and move that learning around the business. Which brings us to the beginning of the recent part of our digital journey, which was a decision to try for the first time in a structured way to get some kind of view on what are we doing digitally around the world that's any good, and how should we frame ourselves for the next phase of our digital journey as we go forward. And what we did was we did a series of data collect, which involved some fairly in-depth questionnaires and interviews with various of our operating companies, with our global brand teams, a whole raft of data collection that came out of those, including qualitative interviews, quantitative data, a whole bunch of relatively easy desk research, because digital assets tend to be accessible from pretty much anywhere in the world, so lots of checking out of our digital assets. And what we found was a mixed bag of stuff, in all honesty, but certain things which we thought were really good and very interesting. This is one which I thought would be worth sharing, and I thought I'd give you a flavour of half a dozen of the things that we found that I think are quite interesting. This is something that we found in South Africa. We own Carling Black Label in South Africa, and it's positioned as kind of real beer for real men. It's a sort of masculine character position, and it's a full-flavoured, slightly stronger ABV than the other mainstream beers. And they have an idea which came around a combination of an event with digital, or rather mobile-enabled digital interaction. And the idea was to create the Carling Black Label Cup for the first time, which was a match between, who knows South Africa? Is any South Africans in the house? Anyone knows? Okay. Do you know who are the two biggest domestic football teams in South Africa? Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. Those are the two big teams. So the idea was to take the Chiefs and the Pirates and create an out-of-season match between the Chiefs and the Pirates, but with a twist. And the twist was that team selection and tactics were decided by texting. And literally, you pick the team. So the idea was you can be the coach. And they set it up, and it was a really nice thing. We did it with a company called Brandtone, who are based in Dublin. And the incentive, it was a simple mechanic. Buy a pack, under the crown, there's a code. Go in via the code, register that, and then you register your own personal details, and you get to then make a vote. And you can vote on which defender you think should play, which attacker you think should play, whether you think they should play 4-4-2 or whether you think they should play a different formation. During the game, there were points where, do you feel we should make a substitution? If so, who should come on, who should come off? And the incentive for it was a combination of, in the build-up, you could get tickets. You could also get free airtime. I think 1 in 10 who texted in got a prize of free airtime. And the response was extraordinary. Over the period, which was effectively about 2 months from kind of build-up to the game itself, 11 million unique participants. 11 million unique participants. The game was a sellout. They played it at the Calabash, which is where they played the World Cup final in Soweto. Beautiful stadium. Sellout, 80,000 people. SABC 1, I think, broadcast the match live. And it was just a wonderful piece of digitally enabled activation of the brand, which I just thought was inspirational. And coming out of it, guess what? We've got, I think out of the 11 million who participated, something in the order of about 80% said that they would be up for further communication from us. So that's a very powerful example, we thought. This is in another part of the world. This is in Latin America, in Peru. And we've got a brand in Peru called Pilsen Callao, which was first brewed in 1878, I think it is. It's the oldest remaining beer brand in Peru. And it's positioned as on a friendship platform. So actually, its tagline in Spanish, which I can't say, is Friends Reunited since 1878 or whatever the figure is. Friends Reunited. And they came up with a really nice idea, which is, if you think about it, you have Mother's Day, you have Father's Day, you have Valentine's Day. Well, what about Friends Day? And they created, using social media in Peru, a groundswell. We seeded a groundswell which took off, saying we should do more about friendship. We should have a friendship day. And so we then agreed with them and decided to sponsor it. And it's now in the 4th year, and it's the first Saturday in July. It's Friendship Day. It's a national day in Peru, which Pilsen Callao has helped bring about. And clearly, Friendship Day is a very good day to sell plenty of beer. But that was a really nice example of, again, of some digitally enabled thinking. This is a more contemporary, more recent thing, and I don't know if it's any good, if I'm brutally honest. I mean, I'll share it with you, and then we'll see how it plays out. It's newly gone up. It's for our Miller Genuine Draft brand, and MGD is all about targeting people who are into the idea of the city at night, the opportunities and buzz of what's going on in the city at night. And we've created a kind of content aggregator digital program, which works at a city level, which you sign up into via, I think, Facebook. You go via Facebook Like and it takes you into it. And effectively what it does is it provides you with live streaming of events, offers, what's going on. There's a nice application which is a kind of heat map which identifies where are other people who have signed up and therefore who by implication are like-minded. So where are they at any point in time? And this has only been up and running now for about the last month or so, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And again, it strikes me as an interesting opportunity for learning. There's another area of learning which is in Colombia. And this is for our brand Aguila, which is the second biggest selling beer brand in Aguila. And I tell you what's interesting about this, is Aguila has a Facebook fan group of 423,000 people. 423,000 friends on Facebook. You might get a clue as to why, I suppose. But actually what's fascinating about this for us for learning is that we don't own that group. It's not our group. Somebody else set it up. Somebody else set it up who was a true fan of the brand. And it's been running for about 3 years. And it has grown and grown and grown. And rightly, our brand has taken the view that it's not for us to walk in and be corporate. We, of course, have made contact with the people, and we have said that we appreciate what they're doing, and we would be very comfortable to collaborate with them if they wanted in terms of us supplying them with content or what have you. But it was fascinating for me because just before I went to Colombia a few months ago to go and have a session with them on various things, including digital, they talked about, there was a whole thing about Heineken making a big deal about the fact that they had just got to their 1 million Facebook friends worldwide. Well, we've got nearly half of that on one brand in Colombia, which struck me as something that was also very interesting about the power of local intimacy. This is another one I wanted to share with you. I came across this in the Czech Republic, and I'm going to show you this commercial. The commercial is interesting because the World Cup in 2010, you'll remember, was in South Africa, and the Czech Republic failed to qualify. And it was quite a big trauma for the Czech people. It was quite a big trauma for the Gambrinus brand team in our business, because we've been spending a whole lot of money saying, Gambrinus is behind the boys, you know, let's all get behind the boys, etc., etc. And they failed to qualify. And it was a really interesting dilemma, because what do? Do you just kind of go, oh, want to pretend never happened, or do you say something about it? And we'd spent, you know, millions of currency supporting the Czech team, saying, let's get behind the boys. And they failed to qualify. But one of our agencies came up with a suggestion, literally the following day, and said, I think we must not hide away. I think we have to acknowledge the pain that the country is feeling and that we are feeling, but try and do something which says, but there's always next time. And they came up with a script. It wasn't briefed or anything. They just came up, we said, we think you should make a commercial, and this is the commercial we think you should make. As we went into Facebook and found a Gambrinus fan group, not ours, a genuine Gambrinus fan group, about 1,500 people. And Gambrinus put itself into the group and said, can we ask you a question? We've got this idea about a film that recognizes and acknowledges the pain we're all feeling, but we don't know whether it's a good idea to do it or not. What do you think? And within 24 hours, they had just over 300 responses, and all but one of them said, absolutely, you must do it. And they made the film, and 10 days later, they sent it back out to the fan group, saying, thank you for your feedback. We've done it. It's going on air on Saturday night, but we'd like you to be the first to see it. And I just love that as a story, and I love this as a film.
Není lehké najít někoho, kdo ještě nestratil víru. Možná se ale jen díváme na špatných místech. A možná nehledáme dost důkladně. Víra nemůže úplně zmizet. Může se jen na chvíli někam ztratit. Víra to je plamen. Někdy hoří naplno jindy sotva doutná. Ale nikdy nezhasne úplně. Stačí jen vědět, kde hledat. Gambrinus. Stále věříme fotbalu.